Hello.
Now I can see you. It's the first time I'm doing this, and I don't know how much I'll be able to keep track of who's coming and who's not coming. Yeah, and my eyes are fixed on you literally. So whoever's coming and saying hi and hello, please don't mind it, because I really am so bad at
about
it.
That.
Okay, so how are you doing, Prince?
Good. How are you doing, Seema?
Good, yeah.
So let me just kickstart today's session. More and more we are feeling that we are losing the art of connecting with each other. That whole culture of sitting down and really talking about stuff that I like, stuff that bothers me, stuff that is my preference, stuff that is my wishes, that is just slowly going out of the window. People are doing that less and less, and somewhere because of that interpersonal connection is getting lost, and because of that a lot of loneliness is happening. A lot of, even though people are talking a lot to each other, but the real things are not being said, the real things are not being communicated. And I thought stories, poems, writings that we really like are some things that are a lot less scary to share. But through those preferences and likings, we are able to say so much to each other, and we are able to connect so much with each other. It's like I read a poem, and if I really connect with it, and if you also like the same poem, it feels like somewhere we are friends. Somewhere we feel connected to each other.
Yes.
You read out an excerpt of a story to me, or excerpt of a book, and if I also connect with it, somewhere we feel connected to each other.
No, I'm glad you spoke about this, because I have been thinking about this for a very long time myself. There used to be, there was a time, and thankfully it still is in my life, but there was a time when people were more responsive to such things. I actively still do it. Like if I'm thinking of someone and I'm listening to a song and I'm thinking of somebody, or if I'm reading something and I think of someone, I instantly share it, And there are like-minded people who respond immediately, but then there are so many people who are so disconnected from this concept of
reading and then connecting.
Of reading and connecting. No, of reading, and if somebody connects with you and says, I was reading this and I thought of you, to respond to that connection, to respond to that, little exchange that is happening there. So people read it and they're like, oh, they probably don't even read it. Nowadays, people half read most of the stuff. And, and then they just move on. And then they forget. And then they say, oh, the reply was sitting in my inbox and I forgot to send a reply. So it is, the world is so fast paced and things are moving at such a great speed that, and I don't know, so many more things are a reason for, this, disconnection happening between people. But I really wish that we could go back to a time where we would, share something with somebody, pick up the phone at any time of the day and just, openly say to this person, what, I was reading this and I'd like to share it with you right now. And that person would have the time to listen to it and to be there with you in that moment. It need not be a long conversation. It could just be a 5-minute conversation, but it would be a very meaningful 5 minutes of that person's in your life in that day. When you first shared it on your Instagram handle, I was delighted. I was like, here is something that I would like to, be a part of, because a lot of people are going live, for so many things, and they're all well intentioned, I'm sure. But this is something that I totally resonate with. And this is something I would always want to be a part of. Storytelling, reading, being read to. I mean, I'm telling you how much I love being read to. And I just don't find enough people who want to read to me.
And with me, sometimes I will read a writing and I will say, यार यही तो मैं फील कर रहा हूँ, यार यही तो मैं कहना चाहता हूँ. मुझे ऐसे वर्ड्स नहीं मिल रहे थे और किसी और को मिल गए हैं. तो मैंने वो एक फिल्म देखी थी इल पोस्टियानो, और उसमें वो
ब्यूटीफुल फिल्म,
अब वो पोस्टमैन उसके पोएम्स चुरा लेता है पाब्लो नेरुडा की, और वो अपनी गर्लफ्रेंड को दे देता है. And when Neruda confronts him about it, he says poetry is not for those who write it, but for those who need it. पढ़ता हूँ और मैं कहता हूँ कि यार पर इसकी तो मुझे जरूरत है, तुम्हारी कैसे हो सकती है, तो मेरी ही है.
So what are we reading today? Yeah.
Seema, you are reading, I believe, a few rules from the book 40 Rules of Love.
Everybody, this is the book. Yeah. So I'm reading the rules from the 40 Rules of Love. I'll give you a little idea about the book.
Okay.
So it's written by Elif Shafak. She's a Turkish-British writer. This book is about the friendship between Shams Tabrizi and Rumi. Maulana Jalaluddin Muhammad Balki was his original name, but he's better known as Rumi and lovingly known as Rumi. And Shams Tabrizi. Now, Rumi was already a renowned scholar and philosopher. And he had so many followers, and he was, at a very good place in his life. And then Shams Tabrizi enters his life. And here is this man who's a wanderer, who goes around the world seeking knowledge, seeking more. He's never satisfied with what he's already learned. And this man speaks the language of love and love only.
Rumi.
No, Shams Tabrizi. Yeah. He only speaks the language of love. He only understands the language of love. And he encourages the language of love. So when he meets Rumi, these 40 rules of love keep coming at regular intervals. Each time they're talking about a particular thing or an incident or a choice they have to make. And he brings out these rules one by one in his meeting with Rumi. And he changes Rumi's life in a way that even Rumi had not imagined. So we give a lot of credit to Rumi and we say that, Rumi is a great poet. And he is. There is no doubt about it. He's a great scholar and a great poet. But the impact Shams of Tabriz had on him is something people don't know about, and how he changed his life for the better. So this 40 Rules of Love is about that. And I'm going to read out some of the rules. I've picked out a few and I'm going to read them out one by one. My first rule is intellect and love are made of different materials. Intellect ties people in knots and risks nothing. But love dissolves all tangles and risks everything. Intellect is always cautious and advises, beware too much ecstasy. Whereas love says, oh, never mind, take the plunge. Intellect does not easily break down, whereas love can effortlessly reduce itself to rubble. But treasures are hidden among ruins. A broken heart hides treasures. It's, I think, one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. And I keep going back to it again and again. It's what people should understand. Each time we use our mind, and there is a tug of war between what the mind wants and what the heart wants. They can make the choice. But if you listen to your heart, you seldom regret it. Because following this is another rule that makes a lot of sense. The quest for love changes us. There is no seeker among those who search for love who has not matured on the way. The moment you start looking for love, you start to change within and without. Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I know. I mean, it makes me speechless so many times.
It's रस चखना पड़ता है तब समझ
Yes, and you just don't want to leave it. You want it to stay with you for like minutes after that. Sometimes it stays with me for days.
yeah
Yeah.
give me more
Yes, yes, oh yes. This is also very interesting. And please listen to it very carefully, people. This makes a lot of sense. The past is an interpretation. The future is an illusion. The world does not move through time as if it were a straight line, proceeding from the past to the future. Instead, time moves through and within us in endless spirals. Eternity does not mean infinite time, but simply timelessness. If you want to experience eternal illumination, put the past and the future out of your mind and remain within the present moment. I'm sure people.
This is actually a master spelling it out for you.
Oh yeah.
Actually just spelling it out for you.
Oh yeah. And along the story in this book, Prince, I'm deviating slightly, but along the story of Shams of Tabriz and Rumi, their relationship is questioned by a lot of people. People ask, what are these two? Are these two men in love? Are these companions of, a particular kind? Which was very questionable back then, But it never affected Shams. In fact, he was so free. He was such a free-spirited person that it scared everybody around him. People were like, we need to be aware of this person who's actually got nothing to lose. So it's such a...
If the man is truly loved, he is willing to be reduced to a rubble. And that's a scary man.
It's a scary man.
Because the mind cannot understand such kind of person.
Exactly. So I'll read out the next rule to you. In this world, it is not similarities or regularities that take us a step forward, but blunt opposites. All the opposites in the universe are present within each and every one of us. Therefore, the believer needs to meet the unbeliever residing within. And the non-believer should get to know the silent faithful in him. Until the day one reaches the stage of Insani Kamil, the perfect human being, faith is a gradual process and one that necessitates its seeming opposite, disbelief.
This has left me in a state of quandary.
That's what it does. It makes you question a lot of things. It does.
Also, I'm in the state of, I know this is telling me something because half of it I could feel, but the other half, my mind is trying to get I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it and I just can't.
I know. I know what you mean.
Because it's talking about marrying the paradoxes and that is something that I just can't get my head around.
Exactly. And I think it's a fantastically healthy combination of two opposites existing in you. It's a fantastically healthy combination because the perspective is never lost in the process. And that's very important. A lot of times we go outside to look for perspective. If we understood this as it's written, we would look inside and not outside.
And also, I feel I learned to be truly non-judgmental.
Yeah.
When I came to know and accept these two opposing sides within me.
Exactly.
Until I existed only in one side and denied the other side of me. Even though I kept saying that I am open-minded, I am non-judgmental, I was never non-judgmental. I was never open-minded. It's when I find the opposite within me.
That's you. Yeah.
Myself.
Yes. Yes. Fine. Now we come to the other rule. It is never too late to ask yourself, am I ready to change the life I'm living? Am I ready to change within? Even if a single day in your life is the same as the day before, it surely is a pity. At every moment and with each new breath, one should be renewed and renewed again. There is only one way to be born into a new life: to die before death. Again, you just have to stay with it. You just have to stay. Oh my God, I'm telling you. I know if we were having our session right now where we were sitting and just talking about things, we would have delved into it and more deeply into it, and God knows what all we would have come out with.
If we were sitting in person and you were reading it out to me, I would have just gone silent at this point in time and let it just work its impact on me, I would say.
Yeah. So this is the last rule I'm going to read out.
Yeah.
And this is as poetic as it gets. It's just beautiful. A life without love is of no account. Don't ask yourself what kind of love you should seek. Spiritual or material, divine or mundane, Eastern or Western. Divisions only lead to more divisions. Love has no labels, no definitions. It is what it is, pure and simple. Love is the water of life, and a lover is a soul of fire. The universe turns differently when fire loves water.
Oh.
Something to think about, huh? The universe turns differently when fire loves water.
Oh, this has struck me somewhere.
I know.
This has really hit me somewhere. This last line, the universe turns different.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know, and it just suddenly it causes a sudden turbulence, It's suddenly you're like, wait, this is the truth. And hang on, should I be reading this again and again to remind myself? It's supreme. I think this was one of the last rules. And just before I sign off as a reader on this, forum, I'd just like to read a poem by Hafiz.
We're getting a lot of love messages right now. I can see a lot of just exploding on my screen. Please go ahead, please.
I have learned so much from God that I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew. I have learned so much from God that I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew. The truth has shared so much of itself with me. The truth has shared so much of itself with me that I can no longer call myself a man, a woman, an angel, or even a pure soul. So that's it. I'm just reading this much from Hafiz's poem. It's slightly longer than that, but I'm just reading this much because this is what I wanted to say.
Yeah, because we have another section to kind of now
Yes,
go into.
yes, yes.
But this is quite.
Please, I am waiting to be read to now.
Okay, I'll quickly introduce what I'm going to read. This is a book called Milk and Honey by this person called Rupi Kaur. I had never heard about her before I saw this book and I started reading it. And how I select books is I go to a bookstore, I pick up a book that catches my fancy and I start to read it in a random page.
Right.
And this was one of the books that I picked up and I started reading it and I just couldn't put it down. I tried putting it down because I didn't want to buy it because this was an expensive book. So I read 2 pages, then I read 3 pages, then I read 10 pages, and after 15 pages I realized I can't put it down.
Right.
So I just couldn't put it down and I had to buy the book. I am just going to quickly read out certain excerpts from this book.
Lovely.
And I'm going to read a little introduction that's on the back cover of this book, and that is what this book is all about, just to give people a context of what I'm going to read.
Right.
It says, this is the journey of surviving through poetry. This is the blood, sweat, tears of 21 years. This is my heart in your hands. This is the hurting, the loving, the breaking, the healing. So this book is divided into 4 sections: the hurting, the loving, the breaking, the healing. I'm going to read out little things that I found extremely. This is like somebody's personal diary in your hands. Even though it's been written by a woman, everything that she says here, I resonate with. I don't know how, why. You know, they say man's experience of this world is different from a woman's experience, but I resonate with everything. The first poem that I'm reading out from this is called The Art of Being Empty. Emptying out of my mother's belly was my first act of disappearance. Learning to shrink for a family who likes their daughters invisible was the second. The art of being empty is simple. Believe them when they say you're nothing. Repeat it to yourself like a wish. I'm nothing, I'm nothing, I'm nothing. So often, the only reason you know you're still alive is from the heaving of your chest. That's one poem. Then there are these 3 little lines on a whole page that I'm in love with. And she says, I am learning how to love him by loving myself.
That, oh my God, I mean, this is the first step to loving someone, no? It literally is the first step to loving someone, to loving anything. Absolutely. Actually. Yeah.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
She says, I do not want to have you to fill the empty parts of me. I want to be full on my own. I want to be so complete, I could light a whole city. And then, I want to have you. Because the 2 of us combined could set it on fire.
Yeah, truer words were never spoken.
And Seema, this one, the moment I read this, I said, I've always felt like this, but I just didn't know how to say it. I'm going to slightly move myself into this beautiful sunset that's happening now.
Oh, that looks very nice on you though, the light.
Yeah, I know, which is why I'm catching this light. Natural magic light.
Right, God.
And this one says, you might not have been my first love, but you were the love that made all the other loves irrelevant.
I have read this. I have read this, and it is so beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's one that's called foreplay. And trust me, when I read this, it did something inside me. And there's this musical instrument called a lyre, which is a stringed instrument. There's a sketch of that, and the poem reads, you wrap your fingers around my hair and pull. You wrap your fingers around my hair and pull. This is how you make music out of me. Wow. Then there's another one. It says, the next time you have your coffee black, you'll taste the bitter state he left you in. The next time you have your coffee black, you'll taste the bitter state he left you in. It will make you weep, but you'll never stop drinking. You'd rather have the darkest parts of him than have nothing. But I'm going to read this next one. When I read this, I said, this is me 15 years ago. The poem goes, I don't know what living a balanced life feels like. I don't know what living a balanced life feels like. When I'm sad, I don't cry, I pour. When I'm sad, I don't cry, I pour. When I'm happy, I don't smile, I glow. When I'm angry, I don't yell, I burn. The good thing about feeling in extremes is, when I love, I give them wings. But perhaps that isn't such a... And you should see me when my heart is broken. I don't grieve, I shatter. There's another short one that says, neither of us is happy, but neither of us wants to leave. So we keep breaking one another and calling it love. This one I want to read, again a really short one, but very relevant, not only for women in the world, but for the artists of this world. Okay? So all the actors, all the poets, all the writers, all the painters, all your artists. Next, it says, you deserve to be completely found in your surroundings, not lost within them. I just love it. You deserve to be completely found in your surroundings, not lost within them. I'm going to read out this last one. This resonates a lot with me, and it always, this kind of a thing always gives me direction. And it says, the title of the poem is, To All You Young Poets, and everybody who's an artist at heart is a poet, I say. So this is for all of us. And she says, your art is not about how many people like your work. Your art is about if your heart likes your work, if your soul likes your work. It's about how honest you are with yourself. And you must never trade honesty for relatability. Yes, Varun, quote for a lifetime. These last two lines I keep repeating to myself so I may never forget. That it is, your art is always about honesty and not about relatability. And your art is about honesty and not about relatability. Thank you, all you people, for tuning in yet once again. Please keep tuning in every Wednesday. Thank you. Thank you, Veena-ji. Please keep tuning in every Wednesday, 6 o'clock. We'll try and finish it by 6:30, although it's extended today a little bit. And hope to see all of you again next week. Till then, take care. Have a great life. Thank you.